Hello, good evening, good morning to Australia, g'day, and welcome back to Between Two Pickles. Once again, returning in 2022, thank you so much. This is brought to you by Recruit Raiders, the fantastic website built by one of our own community members. Do you have a problem with OpenSea? Are you sick of paying OpenSea fees for NFTs that you want? Recruit Raiders takes less of a cut than OpenSea, and it goes back to some of our fantastic community members who built this for us. I can now announce to you that mounts will be soon available to buy and purchase on Recruit Raiders instead of on OpenSea. And one of the biggest things about this website, which I've been told is working very, very well, is the trades feature. If you're worried about trading with someone, sending them an NFT, getting nothing back, you can use Recruit Raiders trade feature to both put your wallets in, send yourself, raiders, mounts, mobs, whatever you want. And he's got a little placeholder gear in the future. Gear NFTs when. So it's a fantastic website. I suggest checking it out. Really cool feature for sorting for different items, floor prices. Check it out. Have fun. Let's get started. G'day, mate.
What's up?
Welcome back.
Thanks for
Happy
having me.
2022. I haven't seen you all year, man.
2022. I know. How's the new year treating you?
Yeah, really good, man. It's been fun to have a bit of a holiday, get out bush, do some camping, and now getting back into work and Crypto Raiders exploding. It feels like a full-time job, just checking up on the Discord sometimes.
Totally. I feel you. We need like a daily a daily newsletter of the Discord. You know what I mean? Just snippets of what happened and what went down.
Yeah, totally. Especially for me, because everything happens when I'm asleep. Pretty much everything happens when I'm asleep.
Feels
Time
bad, man.
zones.
Yep.
Yep. Also want to say that I don't know how I didn't know about this before, but I checked out your Nifty Alpha series on YouTube.
Yeah.
I usually can't make it to the live streams again because I'm asleep. But I think everyone here should definitely check that out if they haven't already, because it's super insightful when it comes to NFTs, and I was kind of blown away about how much intelligent and insightful discussion you guys were having, and the dynamic is also really fun to watch that you guys have.
Oh yeah. That's the thing. It's it's an entertainment show with some good tidbits of information here and there blended into it. It's really fun. I love my co-hosts on that show.
Yeah, we're aware that SAS is having some laggy issues with the camera, but I think as long as the audio is good, then that's the most important thing.
Yes, sir.
He's going for the milk jug. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Love
Got to
it.
stay hydrated out here.
All right, so where do I want to begin? In the recent past, right? So
Yep.
at the end of the last show, last year, you forced me into having you back on in the new year.
I insisted. I said
Yeah.
1 month. Let's get back on.
Yep. And oh boy, what a whole month it's been, right? So many huge things we've had.
Wild run.
So I'm gonna recap it and let me know if I miss anything. We've had Christmas dungeons and the mob giveaway that ran with that, the mounts airdrop, questing release, Gen 4 recruiting, and then Evergreen releasing at the same time. And then finally, on top of all of that, and I know we have even more coming, but endless freaking dungeons.
Yeah, it's crazy when you actually think that we knocked all of that out in a month, because it's been about a month since we last spoke. But I do remember saying, by the time we speak next, we'll have a new play mode out. We'll have a new style, and that's endless dungeons. And yeah, I couldn't be more excited about what we're trying to build there, and like the possibilities that it opens up. I mean, not only is it super exciting for mobs to get utility and in a really fun way. I don't know about you, but it's so cool to go into endless dungeons and just see all of the different mobs that you can go up against. Like, all of the art's incredible.
Yep.
Ken did a fantastic job. So from like a fun experience standpoint, and I love how just like like grindy it is and like fast paced it is, right? You're just fighting, fighting, fighting. Um,
Yeah,
and that's
I
definitely
think
my
it's
style.
really, yeah,
And
totally.
the foundation of this game in terms of a game mode that's going to really work and be fun, like what we can build on top of it, like this is like the very beginning
Yeah.
of what we can do with this play mode. So really good things ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree. So right, wow, we've had all of that, right? Um, and I want to use just a minute right now for this show. I think it'd be great to do this to give everyone a little bit of perspective and allow us to take a breather, take a breath, look at everything that we've just, you guys, the devs, have given us. Look at it, look at it. I'm so grateful for that. Like, it's been
Yeah, it's
huge.
and it's just really fun to do. It's really fun to do. Everyone enjoys it. Our community is fantastic. I think we've all been in crypto NFT communities where it's just anxious, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
our community is just so positive and everyone's just so supportive, even when there's issues going on. We did have some like bugs and some downtime here and there. Um, but we're trying to do a lot at once, and we're trying to also make big upgrades that sometimes can be like ripping the band-aid, so we had to
Yeah.
do a
Yeah.
big stats rework in order to make the game just more scalable long term and fix some issues and
Mm,
some reasons why, like when we add classes on top, like we need this new way of stats working together, and Centurion did a absolutely fantastic job of getting that out. Just so thankful about like how supportive the community is. But
yeah,
what
totally.
I've been really excited about is in the past 30 days, especially the past 2 weeks, like we're really starting to get attention as a community and as a game. So we have people
Oh,
like
yeah.
Bryson, huge Axie Infinity player, and just I talked to him on the phone the other day, just really brilliant mind, doing a lot of cool things. He has a guild loot squad going on.
Yeah,
He's
I tuned into
super.
his stream for a little bit at work. Shh, the
I
other
won't tell
morning.
anyone.
So,
I
yeah,
won't tell
no, really
anyone.
cool.
And there was like 200 people streaming, and it was so funny because he like instantly attached stories to his characters. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So he had
Yep.
this one character that just like couldn't win and had the worst luck ever, and he's like, screw this guy, and he switched it over to Brock,
Yep.
and Brock just like has the best RNG luck ever. He does this like 2-minute freestyle about crypto raiders, and it was legendary.
Oh, I see. I
Um,
didn't have sound. I need to go back and
oh yeah,
yeah,
it was so cool. And then Elio Trades is talking about us recently. So
yeah.
just
That was one of
having
my
some,
points for later, but it's
yeah,
it's
really
kind of
respected
nuts.
minds.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see.
So yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm grateful for it all as well, and I just want to acknowledge, you and all the team members for such incredible work. Especially working through the Christmas holiday period. Yeah, I just appreciate it so much, and I'm sure there are many others who do as well.
Yeah, and the team's been getting, like, we've been pushing really hard. So we're trying to just slow things down a little bit on the team side over the next week. Just let people breathe a little bit and have a little free time.
Oh, totally.
Um,
I mean, that's
you
what
know,
that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think it's important that we do that as a community. Take a breather and
yeah,
assess and just appreciate what we've got. And I know everyone's been fantastic, like you said, sending in that feedback, the suggestions, theory crafting, um, and in a really constructive light as well. It's not been super. People say, I'm concerned this, I'm concerned this, but that's only
yeah.
because they have such strong already ownership and a sense of participation within that community and within the game. So I think that's really good and really fantastic to see.
Yeah, I mean, we love all community discourse. I mean, like even negative feedback, because it's important to have those kinds of feedback loops. If everyone is just hoorah positive the whole time and not giving us critical feedback, um, it's not doing us any favors. And just to point out, like endless dungeons, the conversation start was inspired by an idea that Unsung
Yep.
posted in general.
Yep.
And his original idea was a little bit more hardcore. Like he wanted to be permadeath. You just go as far as you can, you die, and like whoever finishes first, wins some sort of reward. Um, And then recently, as a team, we started playing a game called Slay the Spire.
I've heard of
And
it.
if you haven't, and if you haven't played the game, I mean, you don't even have to play it. You can just like watch a video on YouTube just to understand kind of the play style. And we're not like it has like a card mechanic to it. We're probably not going to have that, but it'll give you an idea of some of the possibilities of where we can take Endless Dungeon. The like future version of Endless Dungeon will be um, it'll be really cool because there's going to be a lot of decision making. You've already seen it at a very, very tiny dose, which is like at the end of each battle, you have a choice. You know what I mean? Like, okay, do I need HP?
Yeah, yeah.
Should I be trying to like buff my stats so that I can go deeper? Like that's a droplet of the possibilities of choices that we could make. Like, what if you get to a certain level, a rune shop pops up and you can refresh your rune, or you can swap your rune for a different rune. And so there's just so many possibilities of where we can take it. And I think just like the foundation of it is really fun. So for the next like 2 weeks or so, we're basically collecting a bunch of data and then making some infrastructure changes so that we can get into the contest, which is going to be very exciting. And I'm excited to see people grind that out. But we're gonna have basically a big mobs giveaway. I think it's gonna be over or around 100 grand worth of mobs.
Yeah,
That's gonna be
there's a
given out.
mythic, right?
Mythic, yeah, for number one, whoever gets the farthest. I just think that's a badass thing
Damn.
to do with like the official launch. Um, and then also around that time, we will be getting mobs will start earning Aurum, so that'll be super cool. Like you could literally run endless dungeons on your raider off of the Aurum that you get, potentially from your mobs, and people playing that. Yeah, so literally you could have endless dungeons, if you have enough mobs.
So we've hit on a couple things here. Endless Dungeons, I wanted to talk about quite a bit. So this is fantastic. Last time we were on the show, and you talked about mobs being extremely undervalued. Within 48 hours, they did a 2.5x on OpenSea floor. I don't know if you remember, but literally as we were talking, Unsung went up and bought half the floor mobs that were there. So I knew something like this would happen again, right? But so
Yeah.
I did some basic maths in the last couple days around mobs, right? We've got evergreen recruiting.
Yeah.
We've got however a lot of raiders already that vastly outnumber the mobs, and there's not many more mobs out there that people can own. There's a bunch in the giveaway wallet, that kind of thing. So basically, if you have a mob, even just one, the chances of it running into players and earning you Aurum is increasing exponentially because of evergreen recruiting.
Yep, as the player base
that's correct,
grows.
right? As the player base grows and the number of raiders out there grows, because every raider can run it once, and then more if they've got keys.
Exactly. Yeah, that's spot on. And that's part of our overall philosophy, is just that it's a lot of people are looking at NFTs as like, okay, like the character's an NFT and like the gear is an NFT, right? A lot of gaming projects out there, especially ones that are doing similar games to us, take that approach. Like that's not in and of itself like super innovative, but like where we're trying to push the envelope is like how interesting it is if players can have ownership of the different parts inside of the game, right? And that's what mobs really is. And it creates this just really fun mechanic where people can in can like own parts of the game, um, and receive in-game benefits as a result. And that's what's like really exciting, is like I love I love the stories of someone that has one raider and one mob, because I think that could just be so cool one day, where like they're like, yeah, I have a mob in Crypto Raiders, and it allows me to have the greatest character ever in Crypto Raiders, because
Like
I'm
they
earning the
rolled a
in-game.
mythic, and they had one
Yeah,
raider. They rolled a mythic on the giveaway,
exactly.
and it just earns them like 100 1,000
They
ore in a
got the
month or
epic. They
something.
got an epic mount. They got a big farm in game. You know what I mean? They're a part of a top 5
Farms
guild.
confirmed. Yeah, dude, that's actually insane. And the more I think about it, I know I've had a lot of people that I've had a couple messages to ask you about exactly that, because we saw that huge mob sale. Was it 8 or 9 ETH on a mob sale? We had 17.5 was the Christmas background, right?
Yep.
Sale, which I don't even have words for that. Um, but yeah, we've had some big mob sales happening, and mob price appreciation and price discovery, I think, is like it's stalled out. It did do a really big run, but
Yep.
based on evergreen recruiting, I think it's kind of crazy that people are still, there's a lot of talk about mobs, but they're still, I feel like they're still kind of sleeping on it. And the fact that we're going to be earning very soon from mobs should make people extremely bullish and eager to even get their hands on one, because like we said,
Yeah.
I think the supply compared to raiders is, it tells the story. That tells its own story.
Totally. And I mean, I think like a lot of people that are like forming guilds and stuff like that, like they're looking at mobs as like assets that like are going to allow their guild to expand further, right? Because if you think of like what can a guild accomplish, well, if they have more in-game gold, if they have Aurum, they can accomplish more things, they can do more things, they can push the envelope further. You know what I mean? And so I think that's like
Totally.
one of the unique things about our ecosystem is because like I don't like to like look at mobs as like, oh man, like I can earn Aurum and dump it for USDC and I like to envision it as this like ecosystem. And I don't care if people do that, like, you know what I mean, like do that, it's your NFT.
Yeah, more
But I'm
power
really
to them, right?
excited.
Yeah.
Exactly, but I'm really excited about like looking at our game as like a world, and people want to own different parts of the world because that allows them to accomplish more in the world, right? And like the
And it's
deeper
just,
you
you
can
do
take
more and
that.
you can do more, and then that allows you to do another
Exactly.
thing, and then another thing. It just unlocks more possibilities, right?
Exactly. And yeah, and so we try to take a similar approach with mounts as well.
Yeah. So
Where
oh, sorry for interrupting, but
no, go ahead.
yeah, let's talk about the mounts airdrop and how that came about. I know it was kind of like a ghost airdrop, or with a hidden airdrop. You guys are just like, yo, it's happening, which I
Yeah,
which I
totally.
personally love, especially for the OGs, the giving back to the people that have been there from the start, but also allowing people, if they've come in and they've met the requirements, to also get those benefits.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And one more thing on the mobs too is that I just want people to like not overreact to like the implementation that we do, because it's never going to be perfectly balanced out of the gate. You know what I mean? Where people
Oh,
are
totally.
taking the
Yeah, yeah,
initial numbers and they're like, "Oh, epics suck." You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
like, "Oh, fodders are the best ever." Like we're going to have to balance things multiple times and continue to add, utility and stuff like that. So don't overreact to the first
Yeah.
couple of weeks, but to the mobs, it's funny because like mobs kind of just came together through like a melding of different things happening at the same time. So Nat
You mean
was building,
mounts, right?
yeah, Mount,
Yeah.
sorry. Nat was building the whole questing system, right? And so Nat was already talking about like, oh, what if we allowed people on Polygon? Like, there's a bunch of horse projects in Polygon, like racing projects, right? There's Zedrun, of course, right? But
Yeah.
then there's like Pegasus. There's like 4 others, like 5 others. And
Really?
Nat was like, yeah, yeah. And Nat was like, wouldn't it be cool if we like let those mounts like boost questing? You know what I mean? So he kind of came up with like the idea for like when you're questing to like have a mount for additional utility. And then that's where it kind of spawned the idea of like, well, what if we make our own mounts? And then the cool thing about our own mounts is that they can also have in-game utility eventually, right?
Oh my god. So
Um,
I was literally about to say that I have I can sense that mounts are going to be used for more than just questing. Like, I could sense it. I could hear it in your voice. What you're telling me
yeah,
is that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take time to get it in game, but there's like all sorts of like ways that we could implement it in game. Like, of course, it can just be something that you literally ride around on the open world, like to get from one location to the other. And if you have
Totally.
a mount, you're literally going 50% faster, twice as fast. Like literally World of Warcraft. Think about World of Warcraft.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
you wanted a mount purely for travel time. You know, it's saving you time, and time is value. So,
Totally.
um, there's there it obviously it's going to take a lot. It's not something that's coming out in 3 months. Like there's going to be in-game utility, but
Yep.
like eventually in-game, mounts will be really really cool. And there's so many things we can do with mounts, right? That we've talked about. We just kind of released the base ones. What we're really trying to test play around with as a team is like figuring out how to like make these games also be like in-game like drops, right? So like what if like a dungeon comes out and it has like a 1% drop of like a unique mob?
Like there's a
Or,
farm.
sorry,
There's a
not unique
pickle
mob, unique mount,
unique mount.
unique
Like
mounts.
there's a pickle farm that you're saving from some
Exactly.
mobs, and there's a horse tied up, and you win
A
you
pickle
win the
horse.
dungeon, and maybe you get that mount as a drop, right? You
It,
save
it,
the
it's a
horse.
it's a pickle themed horse. You know what I mean? And
Oh
it
yeah.
only drops.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, let's.
like like that's the fun part, and we're not reinventing the wheel. That's like been done in a lot of RPG games. But like getting something cool in game, and that's what we're trying to do like more of. Like okay, let's like airdrop, you know, let's airdrop things to that people can immediately use, and then like over time let's explore like how some of these things also. And we did that with the cosmetics that you brought up that had the big sale.
Yeah.
How can we like add more cool drops like into the dungeons, into endless dungeons, etc. And so like we'll probably be exploring that more in the future, and that'll be fun.
And so in the past, the main way we've done that is with the event dungeons, or the Halloween and the Christmas dungeons,
Yep.
and the limited edition
Imagine if we had
items.
a Halloween mount or a Christmas mount. You know
Ooh.
what I mean? That would have been
Well, I mean,
fun,
Nightmare
right?
is basically the
It is.
Halloween mount, as far
It
as I'm
is.
concerned. Yeah,
Very true.
it's
Very
such a
true.
cool. Yeah. Oh my god. Um, but it also sounds to me like Nat. I mean, I follow Nat on Twitter, and just some of the stuff he posts, I'm just going, this guy, he's switched on. Like he knows what's going on. So if you here's I'm just going to do a bit of a shameless advertising here. If you can please tell him to get back to me, I'm trying to get him on the show, and I know a lot of people would love to hear that.
Let me talk to him. He's such a great part of this team, and just I mean what he built foundationally. Like I've told him this before, but like Crypto Raiders wouldn't be Crypto Raiders if he didn't build like the initial Raider and Orem token with
The
like all of this
tokenomics, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
all of this utility, and I mean all just how it all works together. It makes perfect sense, which is like really that like people can players in the game can through these like tokens get a ton of utility, and like get more access to awesome features and drops and all these different things. And then the whole questing side, it's not being slept on. Like everyone's doing it, it's fun. But like if you really think about where we can go with questing, there's a lot of like fun possibilities, in terms of what you can make with those materials, and then how you can use them in game.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So what other quests are planned at this stage? Because obviously it's a tool for gathering different resources and being able to craft potential consumables or
yep.
upgrades or enchantments. These kinds of things that are classic in a lot of RPG games. Um,
Yep.
what's kind of the plan going
Yeah.
forward
So
there?
we have Grimweed and Eye of the Newt, right?
Yep.
And so I think the next stage that Nat's going to be working on is what do you do with those two things. Um, and so that's I'll keep it fairly vague, just so it'll be exciting, and I can't always be the one dropping the stuff. Other people want to drop some cool stuff. But yeah, so that's going to be the next step. Is Nat's going to build out what you're going to use those materials for. And so I think that's going to be another exciting kind of um, addition to the game, from just a thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Um, and what's wild too is that I'm so excited. There's a lot of players out there with just like a single raider, And like that's what makes the game succeed at the end of the day, right? Is we want like
Totally,
players, right? And like someone that buys one raider, and we can see it with the data. They're running their dungeons, right? And then they're going and questing with the rest of the time, and they're like timing it to like use their raider to the max potential. And
yeah.
that's just like so fun to see, right? And there's so many different layers to the game, right? Like some people love dueling, some people just like to do the dungeons. A lot of people are really excited about questing. And when you think about games like World of Warcraft and RuneScape, and you know, that's how the game worked. Like
You had to
you
choose
know, and like
what skills to level
totally,
up and what yeah.
you were a PvPer in RuneScape. Some people just like wanted to play the auction house. Some people wanted to do the economy side and like be mining and crafting. So like starting to feel the same vibes here. So
Yeah, totally.
really stoked.
I'm pretty excited for being able to make some pickles as a NFT. But I'm hearing from what you're telling me that I need to actually speak to Nat and not to Ken about that. Nat decides what's going to happen, and then Ken just makes the art for him.
No, Ken actually, he's I mean, just look at what he did with the mobs art. Like he really creates like incredible things. So really, it's like
I mean, and now that we're seeing all the animated ones and
the
man,
animations, right?
oh my god, it's so
like some
good.
of the animations on them are really cool, and then the attack animations now, like they're fun. I love the eyes one that comes in. That's my favorite. But yeah, when we talk to Ken, it's more like, hey Ken, like here's the idea. Like, what do you think you do? And he just always has a light bulb go off, and he's like, I'll be back with something fire. You know what I mean? And it just in the cohesiveness of like the art across all the different areas is incredible. So
yeah,
Ken is the man. Nat's the man. We have a lot of people that are just
the man
in their own in their own space. They're just like crushing it.
totally.
And some of the stuff is like under the radar too, that like not everyone sees. But you know, we have like the Zero and Tammy Badger now doing the duels and trying to expand the esports side. We have a really cool new tournament type coming out that we think, people are going to absolutely love.
Is it going to be one that I will be able to enter and not get wrecked in without putting in
Yes.
10,000
So
keys every week?
exactly. So here's the basic idea for the tournament mode: is that you enter the tournament with a level 1 raider, right? And you get a set amount of keys. Let's call it 200, right? And basically the tournament is on that character. You're not allowed to bridge in any money at all. So you have a level 1, you have 200 keys, and it's like, okay, you have 2 weeks. And at the end of 2 weeks, there's a big tournament with everybody that entered. And it's a duels tournament, and they duel it out. But the fun idea of this is that it's like no one can just spam 5,000 keys.
Everyone gets the same amount of runs.
Everyone gets the same amount of runs, and so there's a whole new element to strategy. It's like, okay, what dungeons do I need to run? You know what I mean?
What build
Maybe you
do
just
I
say,
go?
What build do I go? Exactly. And it's based off of the gear that you get. And
what if
maybe
you get an
don't
epic? What
luck
if you get
out.
an epic and you've already statted something else? You know, like, oh no.
Exactly. And so we'd probably also get like one stat reset too,
Okay.
with like in terms of the things. So you get like one stat reset, so you'd hold it to the end, or maybe two. You get a set amount of keys to do your runs, and then there's all these interesting scenarios. Like maybe you get up to level 8, you have 40 keys left, but you didn't get a rune, right? But you also maybe want to go for like a top end weapon, right? So it's like, okay, do I go farm like heroic at like a 99% win rate to make sure I get a rune at a 4% drop? So if I don't get a rune, I'm not going to win the tournament. Or do I like gamble at a 60% win rate on like Ogle heroic, right, and try to gear up more, and then also gear, hopefully I get a rune, but I'm not winning as many runs, so maybe I don't luck out and get a rune. So there's going to be a strategy to grinding the character up to max level the best way possible, and then you compete.
Now I know why you were asking in chat how many keys to max level, guys.
Exactly. Yeah,
guys. When SAS asks questions in Discord chat, pay attention.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was asking. I was like, okay, because that's why, and then that's why like the rough numbers like are like around like 200,
Yeah,
keys. Maybe it's 250. Basically, you want people to get max level and then have
and
like
still be
enough
able to
keys
grind a
left.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah, to grind like enough, but not so much that like like it's you want that decision making. You
yeah.
want that like that opportunity cost of like, do I go grind like Child's Cry to get this, or do I go to Croc to try to get that? Like I have this gear, so like it looks like I should go strength, but maybe you have 10 runs left and you get an epic int weapon, and then you're like, shit, like do I try to like swing it for in at the last minute? And then yeah, then you compete in the duels. And then the winner wins out. So we're going to work with a partner to do a big first test of this with like a fat prize pool, um, and
Like get them
see
to
how that goes.
sponsor a prize pool.
Yeah, in cross market,
Yeah, okay.
cross
Interesting.
market. So it should be like a pretty hyped like thing that people are gonna like hear about. I think like the style of the mode is really cool, and then potentially like we could try to like
So will you
turn it
time
in.
that with like a recruiting event, or like so you have to like basically like 28 days from Gen 4 or Gen 5 when Gen 6 drops. It's like, okay, Gen 6 just came out. You've got like a week to get a new raider. Don't raid on him. We'll give you 200 keys if you want to enter the tournament.
You're
Like,
very smart. You're very smart. That's one thing I talked about is like, level one like raider. It would be cool. Like, you need a level one raider to get into this, into these like, seasonal, tournaments or monthly or however we want to do them. Maybe find a way eventually to do it evergreen. But yeah, it's just, I think it's a fun game type,
oh, totally. That
right?
sounds
Because
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, because it's like it's equalized, so it's competitive. Um,
As
it's
long as the final duels can happen when I'm awake.
I know. Yeah, so that's such a tricky thing, and Zara and
No,
Tandy
yeah,
Badge
yeah,
are,
yeah.
are trying to figure it out. No, it's so true though, right? It's because we have a great North American or just like America's community. We have a great Western European community. We have a great Southeast Asian community, and we have people spread out all between those, right? And that is a real challenge,
Mm,
especially at the level that we are,
yeah.
right? If we have a million players, then we can literally just do it like how big esports games do it, which is you create like they're separate leagues
Just
and they only
regions. Yeah.
battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they only battle like live at the very top. They're yeah, exactly separate regions, and you just bucket it out. But like we're not at that scale that we can just bucket it out. So like we have to kind of get creative with the different times. So that's a challenge. But as we scale up, I think it'll be easier. But yeah, I think that will be a really fun um, game type. I just when I was
That
like,
sounds awesome, dude. Whoever
yeah,
whoever had the idea, man, that is fantastic. I love it. If
yeah, that's the fun thing about the team is that like the ideas kind of build off of other people's ideas or other things that people have said. You know what I mean? It's just really like everything's flowing back and forth. So someone may say something, that makes you think about this thing, and then you're like, hey, what if we do that?
yeah, no,
Yeah, I think it would.
that gives me so much confidence, like and renewed faith in you guys. I mean, not that it was waning, but like that's the hallmark of like fantastic teamwork. There's that open air for everyone to feel secure to just throw ideas
Yeah,
out and have them evolve and worked on with everyone else. Oh man, that's great. That's so good to hear.
yeah, and there's like also all sorts of like cool things that we could like do with the mode that we can explore on our next pickle talk once we have this like mode out. That way, I'm not front running myself too much. Um, but yeah, so I mean, like, this is like now the challenge for us is that we've created all these different areas, and now we have to kind of improve them in tranches and rotate like from like one to the right. It's like we need to improve duels. I want duels to be live versus live. It's gonna be way more fun that way, especially when we have class abilities, right?
Yeah,
Like you don't want to be fighting against an AI, like you want to be fighting against the actual person. So we need to upgrade the duels engine to like allow it to be true player versus player, and then it's going to be really fun, right? When you have a class ability, you have your rune, maybe you have a consumable, you have your attack, you have a lot of decisions to make. And then because of the stat rework, now it's also like you're playing against a build, and you kind of have like a strategic way to try to play against that build because you know what abilities they have and you know how they're going to try to play it.
Will you be able to tell what build they are? Like, will a class have like a, like if you choose to go in like the paladin route or the druid route or whatever it is, you have like an aura
It's a
or a bit of a hat
great,
or something.
great question. Great question. And I think you can make an argument both ways. Like one is, well, first of all, here's what's going to happen is that like
It's either
people can
hidden
probably,
and you have to figure it out, or it's obvious so you can try and
but then people
fight
could probably
against it.
data mine it,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and then so then you're giving like, because in an ideal world, I would love it if someone just loads in and you kind of have to gauge it off of their gear, right? So you'd see their weapon and their armor, and you'd be like, okay, they're definitely not a rogue.
Yeah.
They're definitely like there's some sort of like wizard or like
They at
in
least have some
paladin.
strength. There's yeah. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You have an idea, and then based on the abilities you're hit with, like when you get hit with the first class ability, you're like, oh, okay, I'm dealing with I'm dealing with like an int paladin. Like I
Yeah.
just got holy shocked.
Yeah.
That would be in an ideal world. But I know how like gamers work and get an edge. Like I used to play poker, where it wasn't illegal, but you could have poker overlays where like you knew the data on your opponent, so you knew
Right.
this guy plays 32% of hands pre-flop and like plays super aggressive post-flop, and you had all that data.
That's really
It
interesting,
sounds like
actually.
cheating, right? It sounds like
Well,
cheating, but literally it was actually like allowed. But
it's
when you
just
think about the
data. It's
advantage,
just data,
it's
but
just data.
you
And
cannot.
when you think
Yeah.
about the advantage difference,
It's
if
just
someone's
not. It's
playing
just not
without that,
pure, right? Because it's not.
it's
It's
not
not you.
pure.
It's yeah, like data. It's an
Exactly.
algorithm
So I
essentially.
would love it to be pure because I think pure is more fun. But then people would be able to data mine and know like, okay, like this person is going to have this build. This person is definitely probably running this build, like to a high degree of chance, right?
Right.
With that same kind of like data tool where you're like, oh, okay, because people are also going to run across each other in duels multiple times.
Yeah.
So there's an element of like, okay, that Pickle runs this build. But then it's kind of fun and interesting to think about, well, what if you change up your build before you go in to a duels tournament and everyone thinks they're coming up against, you a certain way and you just wreck them, right?
Or you enter a different character you've had in a different wallet. Being
Exactly.
cheeky.
People are gonna have Anon or
An
Anon
Anon wallet.
duelers for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. They don't want anyone to know what they're cooking up.
Oh yeah, Helvy's straight up saying he's gonna keep track of everyone. So
Exactly. So yeah,
yeah.
maybe you do like have an aura, so you know that they're like a a certain class, or you can just write the class right like under their name, like Paladin Rogue. Yeah.
So bit of a just go back around, circle back around to everything we've talked about a bit. Like we've had so much drop, but as far as I'm concerned, and from what I'm still hearing, and we've got Unity port down the line and all this stuff, we are still very much, so much still in alpha build.
Very much so.
That? Yeah. Okay. So still
Very
in
much
alpha
so.
build. Alpha build still so early. There's so much feedback and iterations and improving and building that is gonna happen. And to think that we've already got these incredible tournaments with huge prizes and just endless hours of fun, like I'm kind of scared. There's so much coming, man.
Yeah, and it's gonna take time, really,
Totally.
to get the game to where it needs to be. I mean, we scaled up really quick, right? We have like 20 plus people on the team now.
Yeah.
And so like we've definitely, like scaling up that quick, you kind of have to settle. You know what I mean? If we go from 20 employees to 40 to try to accomplish more, we'll probably accomplish less. You know what I mean? Because it'll just create so many growing pains. So like right now, I think we have such an awesome team. We just kind of, buckle in here and just, ship for the next 3 months, accomplish a lot, and then maybe look at, expanding after there. But like the team that we have, the different, departments, what everyone's doing, it's like we have a really good squad. So I think now it's just like kind of buckle down and execute.
Yeah, awesome. So we've been talking about the future a little bit already, um, but one big thing that we're looking forward to very soon is guilds. Um, can you give us a little bit more about what that's going to look like, and um, if your vision has kind of changed over the months since the guild's idea has been around?
I think it's actually really similar to, um, what we've been talking about for a good period of time. I mean, what we can do with guilds, just like any of the other things we've talked about today, there's a lot of possibilities, but it's just important to get in the base functioning version now. So Core will be, he's the lead on that project, and he'll be updating the community on it um, sometime next week, I would imagine. Um, and basically, it's just basic functionality of you can create a guild, invite people to the guild, and they can access your raiders and run your raiders. Um, so it's very clean, very smooth functionality. Um, and the reason why we did the new login system is for that, because you can invite people that don't have a MetaMask wallet. You can just invite a friend to your guild. They create
Right.
an account and they can start playing your raiders. Um, and so it's I think a very smooth backbone. And what we want to do immediately after we launch it is get feedback from the community and guilds that are interested in our project. Okay, what's the next two features that we need to get in? Right. So, a feature that a lot of people have already been talking about is being able to like set guild members to different raiders, right? That's going to be very important. Because you're going to want this person,
Or lock out dungeons for certain raiders so that they
or
can't,
lock out certain
run.
dungeons.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then like doing some sort of like reward split, or like how do you handle like items? How do you like, because basically people, guild owners are going to want to either give the player items or like Aurum for like running all of their characters.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to figure that out. But basically, the idea is we get the base functionality out, get community feedback, and then get out the next iteration as quick as we can.
Awesome. So within a week or so, I know there's tons of people who'd be super excited for that. Big wallets, lots of raiders.
Yeah,
It's gonna be fun for those guys to finally be able to see the fruits of their initial investments. Like
very much
and,
so.
and onboard
Yeah,
tons of people in that way, because I know um, giving people access in that way is unlocked for a lot of people this kind of new stream that hasn't
well, like just think
hasn't
about
been
this,
around.
like if you have 10 raiders and you're not even like trying to do like an official guild, like you just have 10 raiders and you have been telling your friends about crypto raiders and you just want them to let it like play it for free, because they don't want to spend $300, right? And you have raiders that you need to get your runs in anyways, and you're focusing on your top one or two that you really enjoy, right?
Yep.
Just allowing people to let their friends come in and play for free, like what kind of potential growth does that create, right? um, and you could get a lot of people that are coming through these systems, and just like playing for free for a little while, falling in love with the game, and then joining the game by buying their own raider.
Totally.
Um, yeah, and so yeah, core will give everyone an update after it's done in testing, and yeah, I'm excited to see what everyone thinks.
Me too, man. I'm super excited. I think for some of us that have less raiders than we would like, it's going to open up an opportunity to create more content as well. Like stream for a bit longer and these kinds of things. And I know Darude's been
Exactly,
trying to get the streamer guild going for a long time, and these
exactly.
these wheels that have been in motion now are finally starting to give us some fruit, which I think is going to be really fun to play around with, and again, just keep giving feedback and keep making it better along with you guys. So
Yeah, and I mean, there's all sorts of um, things that we can do to improve it just from a community standpoint, like a communication standpoint, like getting a badge on your character, right? Like a logo that the guild uploads, right? And maybe having your own chat, or something like that where you guys can, there's all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Not just from like, okay, we need like these features so that we can, there's more cool things that I want guilds to be also guilds that like were in World of Warcraft. You know what I mean? I don't want
So
guilds to
I've
solely
only
be
played like a handful of hours on WoW on friends' accounts, so
well, like
I'm not
any
aware of what
MMO,
it's like. But
like any MMO that has like guilds in it.
okay,
Basically, like when you when I played World of Warcraft, you get to like level 60, you get to end game, and then like you want to join a guild so that you can raid like badass content
yeah,
that like you can't do just like with you and your two friends or by yourself.
yeah,
So like I want guilds also to be like in game functional, right? Like people are trying to raid 20-man dungeons, right? So like guilds can act like that. And they have
yes,
maybe shared inventory, just like you had in these kind of games where, and you maybe have someone in your guild that's like a really high level quester, right? And so they're questing for the materials that the guild needs to run the dungeons, right? And 20 people in the guild are like the geared out people that raid the dungeons, right? Like those kinds of things too, I think, are in like the future for like guilds. So yeah, I'm stoked. Another good feature to get in. Um, and after that, I think we have a lot of features, and then it's about improving all of these features, right?
yeah. Then it's about the classic issues of game devs, like
Oh yeah.
how do we patch, how do we balance, how do we make things better,
Seriously,
Yeah.
man, balancing is hard. Balancing
Oh,
is hard.
totally.
I used to just be a gamer that I'd be like, man, fuck, they nerfed rogues. Fuck World of Warcraft, dude. Like, this is bullshit. Like,
Well,
why
yeah,
would they take that away from us? Why would they take that
and
away
people
from
who
me?
love those things, they can get really passionate and emotional about it. Um, Very much like a sense of like you feel let down almost when that kind of happens, your favorite character or your favorite build, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
tough, but there's always usually a good reason for it. And I think because we have this dynamic where the community has as much input as they do, that we can avoid a lot of that disappointment and come to like these sweet spots really well. And again, the other guys, Centurion and Tahir and all the team are doing such good work. And I think the new stats, which I tried out finally yesterday, feel really really good. Like, so I'm super happy about that.
Yeah, and Centurion's doing a fantastic job with all of that. I think that it's balancing is funny because basically the only way to make anything balanced is to make them like pretty much the same, and there's no real fun in that, right? Like you could like think about like
Yeah,
how you could do it, like, oh, okay, agility, oh, their damage is too low right now, okay, well then buff their damage. Oh, okay, well now they're critting way more than everyone else at the same damage. Okay, well then just give other people the same uh crit rate, and then like you basically have no diversity, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So there's like always going to be, in order to have diversity in builds, you can never achieve like pure balance, but like what we're doing is laying out enough like choices and decisions and complexity, with a good system that not everything's going to be perfectly balanced, but like you're going to have lots of choices. Like you can be
And
a paladin.
that framework, like I think you just said, leads to diverse options. And when you add on like the options of gear and the options of consumables and the options of runes and the options of this,
Yep.
then it adds one complexity, which is, I think, harder to balance, but at the same time lends itself more to being fairer, if not balanced, because you have multiple options.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes the game fun too, is the multiple options.
Yeah,
And also the change in the meta. Because it makes you kind of like, if something's just always the same, it's kind of stale. You know what I mean? So the nice thing is like we're making a lot of improvements when we're doing stat reworks, but then it also kind of shakes up the meta a little bit, and people have to like learn a new system. Like having said that though, like the system that the rework that we built out, where like I really like it, the primary, secondary, tertiary thing. So like
Yeah,
you really want to be focusing on like strength or agility or int, but there is opportunity for hybrids. The secondary stat takes like a 70% hit, but like still like what you're trying to achieve with it could offset that. And
totally.
then
Yeah,
the three secondary stats, um, wisdom, charisma, and luck, or sorry, charm, rather. Those are like secondary stats, and they have no like decay effect. So like you could run strength with wisdom and charm. You know what I mean, to create like a really cool, unique
it's
build.
funny you say that because I found that was my strongest build yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
the
you got like a
strength and
little,
charm was working really well, and actually, I was.
and that's the point, is that like the secondaries can allow you to kind of like round out some deficiencies and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what
totally.
strength previously was.
So I'm not a full on min maxer like some of our community members that already probably have this all figured out. But from my experience yesterday, I was using a cookie crumbler, and I got dropped the vile thorn, which finally some luck. But so
Yeah.
that had quite a lot of int on it. But when I swapped to the vile thorn, all of a sudden I had my secondary stat was agi, and I was critting more, and it was it
Yep.
was it was really interesting to see
You
that
now you can
difference.
start to feel it, right? Now you can start to
Exactly.
feel it. Whereas before, like you couldn't see the pattern, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why like what Centurion like built was really well done. And AZ Hash in the comments actually said this, like you want that rock scissor paper
Yeah.
type of
Exactly.
balancing for dynamics, and that's what Centurion did with strength and agi. Like one is going to have an inherent advantage over another, you know what I mean, just based on how their stats are. But then what you can do with the secondary stats is kind of how I look at it is like leaning in a certain direction. So
Yeah.
like if you're strength, right,
And
then
that'll
like
play
you
into the whole class
exactly.
class differentiations, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So there's ways that you can now build your raider so that like if you're a strength hero, but like you're getting a lot of trouble from agi, you can like lean with your secondary stats to try to like improve your positioning against agi characters. But then what is the cost of that, right? Then probably int, like certain int builds may kind of wreck you because now you're leaning a little towards the agi side. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like this like tweaking effect. So it should add a lot of flavor. And then, as you said, once we get class abilities, it should be like a really dynamic system that like people are going to have fun with, because they're going to have a lot of options and they're going to have ways of countering the meta. That's important, right? Like
Oh,
if
yeah, yeah,
everyone
for
that's
sure.
like agi starts winning, if you can figure out like, oh, if I make a strength build and I just throw it all into wisdom, like that will crush these guys, and you're testing it out with like the duel system, you're testing it out against them,
Well,
right? And then you hop into a duel tournament.
Sunforger came into my chat yesterday when I was streaming. He literally said that. I'm thinking to myself like, oh, why would I use this item? I get these stats, and Sunforger goes, actually, I've been doing that. I won a tournament. I'm like, wow, okay. And he's won three. It's three of the last few for
Exactly,
$1,000
because
plus prize pool. Exactly.
he's countering the meta.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then that's the fun. So then if more people start following Sunforger, then there's going to be a build that can counter that. And you have this like
yeah.
really interesting positioning. And then you're going to have players that find like good evergreen builds. So they're not meta builds, but they can kind of
Hold their own
counter a lot
against
of things,
everything. Yeah,
hold their own against everything. Yeah.
yeah.
And so, yeah, it's getting really fun out there.
Man, I'm so excited. I mean, I'm just gonna say this every time there's a show, but yeah, so much awesome stuff to come. And speaking of balancing, I think we'll leave that discussion there because we're getting Centurion on in 2 weeks to talk
Beautiful.
about all things stats and game development balancing. So I'm super excited for that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Centurion is it once again, he's the man. I've said it about, so many people on our team. They get it done. It's awesome. And everyone's so passionate, and even talks about like cares about stuff outside of just their area. Like
Yeah.
there's so much collaboration and ideation going on. Yeah, so yeah, I'm excited. I think just all of the signs are pointing towards like good direction. We have a great team. We have a long runway. We're just going to keep building. Um, and I think like eventually there's going to be just a wave of people that want to play Crypto Raiders.
Oh, I'm And that's a great segue into the last thing that I really want to talk about. Apart from a final question, which is going to be funny for you. But we've been getting, we've been getting, a lot of, like, we touched on it before, but a lot of mentions on some bigger channels, Bryson.
Yes.
And everyone, I wake up in the Discord and people are like, yo, Elio Trey's just talked about us live on his live video.
I know, that got me so
tons
excited.
of support on it. So, yeah,
he's great.
How much does that mean to you? I guess personally, but as a team as well, like to finally start seeing like this thing getting noticed. I guess mainstream. It's mainstream for crypto, which I guess means it's kind of nowhere for most of the world, but like it's almost mainstream. Like it's
totally
exciting.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been building quietly, with the community for, it felt like 6 months, and everybody in the community just believed in it. We all believed in it, but we were really under the radar for like the first 6 months, and then there was just kind of a wave of people that are picking up on the game, and I think that's just like validation to the people in the community, because it was like, hey, like in the team, it's like, hey, we're right, and now we're getting the validation that like people like it, and it feels so special, because it's like, okay, like we're not crazy. The community, it's not just, if you think about it, like, right, at one point for a long period of time, we had like 2,000, like 1,800 players, right?
Yeah, that wallet,
And
that unique wallet number was kind of
flat.
stagnant. Yeah.
It was stagnant, and we were just building what everyone believed. But it's like, are we just like a ragtag group of like?
But see, I think that's better. Like fly under the radar and actually get some concrete, hard support and backing and green roots. Like it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
but
just
the success is totally deserved. Yeah,
for sure. And I'm excited, because I think that like what we have coming, like roadmap wise, and just like the things that we can do in the game, the people, the newcomers are going to be just excited as the people early on. You know what I mean? Like in the sense of like, they're going to see like new things coming out, new things to do, and building friendships in the community. It's just going to keep like compounding on it. Like there's going to be different classes. Like we kind of have the OG class of 21, and like we're going to have kind of the winter of 2022, just new people coming in every day, loving crypto raiders, and they're going to experience like the same stuff. Like, oh my gosh, like endless, like there's probably plenty of people that joined before Endless Dungeons came out and had no idea it was coming, and then they just load into crypto raiders, and there's just this new mode that they're playing, and they're like, oh, sick, stuff that we've been doing for a while.
We've been, the OGs, the class of 21 has been coming.
They know. Okay, some news is gonna come. Exactly.
And they just show up, and this like new thing dropped. Oh, cool.
Exactly.
I think one of the really cool things, and I've been in the new player chat. I've hung around there for a little bit of time. But one of the really cool things for me is seeing people come in and go, there's so much to learn. Like, where do I start? What do I do? What builds? And when I think back to my own, history of gaming, some of my favorite moments, like I may be special and maybe a bit unique in this, but I love the feeling of not knowing what the hell is going on in a game. Like I love that feeling when I jump in and I see the map for the first time and I have no idea where to run, where to look around, where to peek on corners, where the good camp spots are, or what build is good, what stats to allocate. I love that feeling of just being like, holy shit, I'm clueless, because even though it feels uncomfortable at the time,
it's exciting.
When you look back on it, exactly, it's exciting. And when you look back on it, you're like, man, that was so fun figuring everything out, and that journey.
Well, and then you never get that feeling again in a game, even if you play it for years. Like, meaning, like, I remember the first time like I went into World of Warcraft, like visually it felt different, because I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah.
And like 6 months later, I'm like totally immersed in the game, and I know everything. Like when you first get it, you're like learning how to jump and like what buttons do I press, and it's an exciting, and it also means that there's
exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It also means there's depth. Like if you can figure out a game in 30 minutes, it's probably not a fun game, right? Like if you could completely figure it out.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you add the whole tokenomic side, and it's like, this is really freaking interesting. Like, this is so cool.
Do you go to the Goblin Bank and buy some Raider so that you
the Goblin Bank is that official?
Yeah, right. It is, man. It is.
Yep. So goblins confirmed. Is that a
Yeah, I mean,
leak?
or are they always NPCs? You know, like in
Okay.
Harry
Yeah,
Potter,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay,
Harry Potter
so
didn't have a goblin friend,
yeah, let's try not to get ourselves in trouble appropriating other.
right?
Yeah, okay. No. So, last question, and you have to give me something, okay? Right, you
I'll
have
do
to.
my best.
Sathir told me that he was really worried you might leak something, and then it would be really cool. You have to give me something.
And it's really, really cool.
You
I
said
probably already leaked it.
you probably already leaked it.
I don't know though. I think I may not have. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Let me think.
Well, SAS thinks. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I have decided I minted a few of the pickle emotes that you see. They're my Twitch emotes, right? I minted a few of them as random NFTs on Polygon. I'm a bit of a noob. I don't know what I did, but I did it. I'm thinking that every few episodes we do this, we give away a new recruit raider to one of the people holding one of these emotes as an NFT. So I'm giving away one this episode at the end. So if you haven't entered, enter that.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna have to enter too. I can't think of it. So either I've done a good job of not linking whatever, and when I came into this, I just erased certain things out of my brain, or unfortunately, Ian's gonna be mad at me because I already spilled the beans.
Oh man. Well, we did have some pretty juicy leaks. It's got to be said. We had
Right?
some, Tina. Yeah.
I hope it wasn't the new game mode because I feel like that's the only like really new thing I gave out. But like the game mode is an idea that we like just came up with, and it's like pretty easy to get off the ground.
This is a new game mode, not the new tournament type.
The new tournament.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was awesome. That's a huge leak.
I wonder if he's trolling me too. You know what I mean?
He could,
because he knows I'm going to leak something.
He could have trolled me, and
he knows I'm going to leak something.
Oh man. Oh, so now that people are entering for the emote, there we go. SAS is going to sponsor the giveaways as well, right?
Yeah, of course, man. I got you. LV Gaming said, when skill trees, I want those out so bad.
Yeah,
so bad.
We talked about that last time, so I know you guys are working on that to get them really where you want them.
Yep. I think we're close on where we want them. Centurion was really busy with the stat rework, and now he can take a look at that.
Focus his attention onto it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that's a thing that could really be. It needs to be balanced, and it needs to have like a lot of testing and at least like some theory crafting. So I think we'll work on that and hoping to get it out fairly soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think it is important. We touched on this before, but there's all the when this, when that. We want more. But I think, like you said, you've got a really strong team that you're confident with and it's working well.
Yep.
And I think it's important that we, or you guys, do just take that time to get things right and get them where you want them, and know that now that you've got new players coming in all the time and you've got such a strong original OG community backing, that we will be there waiting. If it takes another month for one more thing to drop, I'll be there. I'm waiting. I won't leave. I know people.
Yeah, exactly.
I know people get impatient, but I think that's a reality, that if we want it to be the best it can possibly be, good things take time.
Yep.
And that time is not wasted.
Yeah, but I definitely think, like, for me, for sure, like, skill trees is a priority, because I feel like that as soon as we get class abilities into place, then it's like a real strategic game.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, right now, the honest truth is that, like, having one choice of when do I pop my rune, and other than that, you hit the attack button, that in combat, that is not strategic. Now, what is strategic about the game is how you're building your character, how you're improving the gear of your character. But like actually when you're in combat having to make strategic choices, that's when it gets like really interesting. When it's like, okay, like um, do I need to pop a consumable? Do I need to use my primary ability, so like my strength, enter, agi ability, or do I need to use my class ability, right?
Yeah.
Or do I use my rune? Now, like you have potentially 4 options of things that you can do in each round, and then you
And more than
also,
that, because you could
and more than
probably
that,
combo them and
you can
find the
combo them
best. Yeah, yeah,
exactly, and you can like then you have to figure out how to play against a certain opponent, like how that all works strategically. You'll have different combos for different opponents, so I think it's like such a key component to, and also a lot of people that are maybe 50-50 on the game,
yeah,
that can be a real game changer,
yeah,
right? Because then when they see that kind of decision making happening, then they can't be like, oh, that's not a real game, I'm just smashing buttons,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So yeah, I think it's a big priority. I'd love to get it out in like 2-3 weeks.
yeah.
um
Awesome.
that would be fantastic.
That would be really cool. Um,
Yeah
I do think while I while the statement I just said holds true about time and taking time, I know people are concerned about having like Helvey said a more polished full game, and I don't think that's necessarily, like you said, you're always going to be trying to make things better once it's released.
yeah
But I think
yeah
it'd be really interesting to see, um, or almost important to see, more of a full game than other projects. And I know that, you got big AAA like these Illuviums and these kind of things coming out with games, but they're taking a long time to release anything at all. I think
yep
what we have now is already way more complete and way more sophisticated than anything else you see out there when you do research, bar
yep
1 or 2. And I think that the foundation that creates for having something bigger and larger is fantastic. But if you're able to kind of meet those marks and get things out before everyone else, it's just going to put you in such a strong position, or put us, I'll say us because we're all part of it, right?
yep
If you own an NFT, you're an investor. It puts us in such a strong position, as like the number one, the leader, the pioneer, paving the way, and leading the way for this genre of games, which could be, in a few years' time, a revolution in the entire industry.
very very much so. Yeah, I mean it's a give and take, right? It's how do you polish up the game, like when you load into the game and your weapons flying 4 pixels behind you as you're running around, that's definitely not the most polished.
I like
But
that.
yeah,
It's
so
it's a
like
bit magical.
magical, right?
Yeah,
It's realistic, right? You're walking like this. Um, I think Unity is the design overhaul.
that's the
The
key, right?
Well, yeah, that's like the cleanliness upgrade. Right
Yeah,
now, we're basically like building out the game from a development standpoint, and then like Unity is where we're going to tie it in, and like Excalibur already leaked some screenshots of it, like design screenshots. That's when the game is going to look and feel way more polished.
yeah,
So it's kind of like we have a car with like a really nice, or we're building a really nice engine, but then like it needs a paint job, and so like the paint job is going to come with Unity, and then that's when I think it all definitely ties together. Then it's a clean game from a design perspective. It feels like a game, like even in the UI, you know
yeah.
what I mean? It's just really polished. And then you have all of these gameplay elements that we've been working on initially.
Awesome. It's gonna be a fun year, 2022 for crypto raiders. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Indeed.
Actually, Kexi, thank you for this question. I wanted to ask this as well, but I totally forgot to write it down. He asks, any new races in future? Um,
Yeah, I think we're
and I think we
yeah,
mentioned,
we're looking at it.
yeah, you guys mentioned at one point, maybe it was you or Tyrell, a potential for like kind of like the epic mount drop, but like you save someone and you have a chance of dropping a legendary, unique, or maybe not unique, but a different race of a character, right?
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. So we can make them droppable in game, just like mounts, like you said.
yeah,
So that's like a very fun thing when you think about it. right? I mean, it would obviously be rare, but it would just be so cool to get one of those.
It might be a mythic drop, maybe.
Right, exactly. But that's a ways out. But
Yeah,
I mean, now that we have like open recruitment going, like adding a new race in isn't hard. We just got to figure out when it makes sense and what the rough cadence is.
right,
So
right.
yeah, I think the team will be like giving some updates on that. But like definitely we're going to be adding more races. We just don't want to oversaturate them too quickly.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
No, awesome. Well, it's been an hour, and we've had a lot of crypto related talk so far. I got a little cheeky question for you at the end.
Yes, sir.
Who's a historical figure that you'd love to have like a fireside chat with, and what would you want to learn off them?
Like historic, like any period
Like,
of time.
yeah, anyone.
Oh, that's a great question.
So many options.
What about like Genghis Khan? Just seeing what that guy was about, right?
Love that.
What his mindset was every day.
Like, how do
Just
you
just
wake
30
up
minutes.
and have that?
How do you
that,
wake
that
up?
confidence?
Do you have a
and-
gratitude journal?
Yeah.
Today
I'm grateful
for
we
our new
conquered.
victories. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude, that would be awesome. I was thinking something along the same lines, like Marcus Aurelius, leader of the
Classic.
Roman Emperor, stoic.
Alexander the Great.
Yeah,
Like
how
Marcus
they
Aurelius
managed
said the
to.
Stoicism is a good one. I like that.
Yeah,
Actually, I was reading it was super on top of things, Plato. And that may be kind of an obvious one, but I was reading this book about like the history of economics, and like you usually hear about Plato from like philosophy, but he had like great like theories on like economics and all that stuff. Like that guy was just smart.
Yeah.
Absolutely smart. Didn't he was he the guy that created the Library of Alexandria? Or no?
I'm not sure probably not, but definitely
Whoever did that was a legend too.
Yeah. Well, awesome, dude. I love the way you think. And
hey, I always love talking with you. It's great.
It's been awesome, dude. I'm so excited for what's coming in the future, and I really appreciate you taking the time again to come on. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, I had a great time.
All right, mate. All right. Well, we'll end it there, guys. And sweet, you want a pickle tank emote, so you gotta send me your wallet address.
Nice.
Goodbye, everyone. That's all for now. See you in 2 weeks with we'll be talking with Centurion.
I'll be tuning in.
Awesome. Cheers, mate.
Dina drawn. Dina message me. I'm looking for Dina drawn. Why can't I find you? Dina drawn.